I was on Reddit earlier today and came across this story from this couple who relocated from Abbotsford to Surrey and just had an absolute horror story about selling their detached home in Abbotsford and moving into a townhome in Surrey. They were completely underprepared for what townhome living really was going to be like. If you're someone that has been considering moving to Surrey to buy a townhome, today's video is going to be just for you because we're going to go over the 5 things that you're going to wish you knew before you got into strata or townhome living. And make sure you hang around to the end of the video as well, because I got a little Easter egg for you. It's going to make sure that you save some serious money when it comes time to buy your next home. So if that all sounds good, let's get into it. If you're wondering who I am, well, my name's Darren from the German Group, a realtor with McDonald Realty in Surrey. This real estate channel is dedicated to everything real estate in British Columbia, and especially if you're considering looking for a home in the areas that our team services of Surrey, White Rock, South Surrey, or any of the surrounding municipalities. You're going to want to make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell because we release updates about these communities on a regular basis. And if you want to be the first to know about what's going on, this is a great way to get the information that you need. Furthermore, we get calls and texts every single day from people just like you looking to relocate into this community. So whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, or 9 months, be sure to make use of the link below to book a time to speak with us, and we can help make sure that your move to the areas that we service is a smooth one. So back to this story that was on Reddit. This couple was incredibly upset. They feel that they had made probably one of the biggest mistakes of their lives, and they were looking for advice on how to rectify it. Now, I don't know that I can help them rectify it. Maybe they have to sell their property to be able to do that, but they had have known, or they should have known, a lot of information that was problematic for them that I saw in their post prior to buying that townhome. I can't comment on what kind of advice they may have received. They actually bought directly from the developer in this case, so they probably didn't even use a real estate professional. These poor people, though, they're considering selling their Surrey townhome and moving back to Abbotsford. That's going to be expensive, and what a horrible experience when they were probably very excited about getting closer to their work. That's the reason they bought in Surrey in the first place. I really wish they had watched today's video. Obviously, it didn't exist at the time. So unfortunately, we couldn't save them from making a big mistake, but hopefully we can save you, and not from making a mistake, but knowing everything you need to know about buying a townhome that you're going to wish you knew before you got into one. So let's get started. So the first one I want to let you know about is parking. And parking, well, it can be an issue anywhere, regardless of whether you're in Surrey or anywhere for that matter. So I am here at Bear Creek Park in Surrey behind a empty parking lot because I think this really helps with my point. It's a big deal, and you need to know where you're going to park your vehicle. So here's the scoop. If you are looking to buy a townhome in Surrey, and you are relying on parking maybe in the visitor parking area, that's going to be a major no-no with the strata and is simply not going to be allowed. Also, if you have a longer vehicle like a truck, don't plan on that being able to hang over from maybe your driveway over the common roadways. The strata is going to have a major issue with that as well. You're not going to be able to park your vehicle in front of your unit either unless that's designated for your vehicle to actually be there. So what can you do if you're somebody that has an extra vehicle and you're really looking to find a place to park it, obviously, because that's important? Well, first of all is you can obviously look for a place that's going to house as many vehicles as you have. So if you have a garage that's big enough and it works for your needs, then that's amazing. The next thing you can consider doing is finding a townhouse that has a driveway that's big enough to, again, house all the cars that you need. And of course, the last one is finding something that faces the street. So you can't always bank that that is going to be there, that street parking, and you're going to want to consider the development in the community that may be upcoming or is already there, because it might be challenging at times. However, finding something that faces the roadway, allowing you to park your car basically in front of your property, and this is really good for people with work vans, big trucks, anything like that, that's certainly another option that you can consider as well. So parking is number 1. Let's jump over to number 2, and I'm going to fill you in on some other things that you need to consider. The next one on our list is common expenses, and there's lots of common expenses to be had when you buy a townhome, just like the home that's behind me. So I want you to consider things like the roof. I want you to consider things like the windows or maybe the siding. Anything that could be a significant bill in a strata. I want you to remember something, that your neighbor's problems or anybody that lives in your complex, well, if they have problems, they can be your problems too. So how do you prevent this, or how at least do you figure out what you're getting into before you do? Well, this is before you buy. You might check the strata's financials. You might check something called the depreciation report, a 30-year planning tool letting you know what's coming up of expense in that strata. You're also going to want to likely get a home inspection, and if you are buying a strata, be sure to check out our Strata 101 course, which I'll leave a link for in the description. This will help you avoid a ton of surprises when you're buying a strata. So anyways, if this was one that caught you off guard or you didn't think of, comment below and let me know. But in the meantime, we're going to head to the next one. Number 3 on our list is insurance claims, and it would probably blow you away to think that the majority of homeowners in a strata complex, whether it's townhome or condos, they do have their own personal insurance, but there's oftentimes people that don't. They lean on the strata's insurance, or maybe they misunderstand how the strata insurance works generally. Here's the problem with leaning on the strata's insurance. Oftentimes, the deductibles when there is a claim are incredibly huge. We've seen deductibles as high as $250,000 in some cases. This is obviously a number that would completely bankrupt most families. So what you want to know about insurance claims is if your neighbor has an issue, let's say they have a major flood that carries into your unit as an example, well, the strata's insurance and their insurance likely isn't going to cover the damage that happened in your own unit. I know it sounds crazy, but you could be on the hook for your own repairs. So the lesson learned in this example is to make sure that you've got A, your own insurance, B, you're comfortable with the deductibles on your own insurance, and C, you're comfortable with the strata's deductibles on their insurance should there be a major insurance claim. Did you think about the insurance side of things? Leave a comment below and let me know. But in the meantime, let's run over to the next one. Number 4 on our list is noise transfer, and a very fitting one to talk about because anytime I do these live videos, there's so much construction and noise everywhere. I worry that you're going to be able to hear me. So I'm here at Sunnyside Park in South Surrey, and it's quiet. But it's not always going to be quiet if you decide to buy a townhome in Surrey or anywhere for that matter. Now, a lot of people try to avoid living in a condominium just for that exact reason, for the noise transfer. They're worried about having somebody above them or somebody below them or a neighbor on each side. However, living in a townhouse, while it may be better, it's not always better. As an example, you're gonna hear blasting TVs. You're gonna hear the pitter-patter of feet running up and down the stairs. You're going to hear when people are entertaining. You're going to hear people when they have friends over and there's music playing. So while you're still going to experience some noise transfer, there are things that you can do as a home buyer to help minimize this, or at least make sure that you get a unit that is absolutely as quiet as possible. The obvious suggestion is to find a unit that's an end unit. If you can afford it and you have the ability, the less shared walls that you have with your neighbors is going to result in a quieter unit generally. But the other one that we always suggest to our home buyers, regardless of what type of home they're buying, whether it's condo, townhome, or detached home, is go knock on the doors of the neighbors prior to committing to the sale. So go introduce yourself to the people over there. Let them know that you're someone who's going to be living next to them for the next 5 or 10 years. And you're going to get a little bit of a window into who they are, maybe how big their family is, and generally what you might expect as to having them as neighbors, during your time that you live at that particular property. So anyways, we're going to move on to the very last consideration that I want you to know about being a townhome purchaser. Before we do that though, I want you to leave a comment. If you're someone that lives in a townhome, has noise been an issue for you? Or if you are someone looking to buy a townhome, is noise something that you even considered looking into prior to buying? So anyways, let me know in the comments below, and in the meantime, let's move on to the last one. Number 5 on our list is one of the top reasons that I find most people hate stratas, and they're so excited to get out of them. And that reason is the bylaws and the rules. They either went into ownership not understanding them or plainly not knowing them. Or maybe there's someone that just doesn't have a good history of following the rules. The bylaws and the rules are put into place to help protect everybody. That means if your neighbor is terrible, it protects you. But that also means it protects your neighbor if you're maybe the one that's terrible. There are things like noise restrictions, cutting off the amount of noise that you're able to make after a certain period at night into the morning. There's restrictions on the type of curtains that you can have. There's restrictions on the type of pets that you can have. What about gardening and yard maintenance? What about whose responsibility it is to replace the doors and the windows? It's different across all stratas. What about who you can use as an internet provider? What if you want to do some renovations? What if you want to put up a doorbell camera? There is rules and bylaws against all this stuff. So you need to make sure that you know those going into it. Here's your solution. Always, always, always review the rules and the bylaws of the strata prior to buying the home. And also make sure if there's something in there that you can't live with, well, then that particular strata, maybe it's not for you. So there you go. Those are the 5 things that I wish everybody knew about buying a strata before they got into it. And if you go into a townhome purchase in the city of Surrey knowing these things, you're in for a much more successful experience. Before I finish the video, I let you know at the start that I got something that's going to save you some money, and I'm really excited to give it to you because I am such a believer that you are going to save thousands and thousands of dollars. And of course, that is our tax breaks PDF. We've gone ahead and sourced some of the government incentives and tax breaks that aren't easily found and put them all together in one simple PDF that makes it easy for you to take advantage of every tax break and government incentive that's out there, so you don't give away any more of your hard-earned money than you need to. I've left a link below in the description for this, so be sure to grab your copy. And while you're down there, don't forget to comment on this video. I hope you learned something today. And if you did learn something and you found value in this, please consider subscribing to the channel so we can continue to bring you more great information, not only on the city of Surrey, White Rock, or just buying real estate generally. Hey, look, I want to thank you for watching. If you're someone moving to our neighborhood and you need help, don't forget to book a time to speak with us. Or other than that, we'll definitely look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.